So if God desires, if it pleases God that all men should be saved, then why aren't all men saved? Now understand, this is why we teach through the whole word, because if there's ever a part where I go off the rails, somewhere along the line, Scripture is going to correct me. Now you have the freedom to say, you know what, Lowell, I think that the Calvinism is right and Arminianism is wrong and your message just doesn't make sense. Then you're going to have to try to figure out, what does the Bible say about election? You're going to have to say the Bible isn't the plan of salvation, that everything in Romans 9, that it's not the path to Jesus Christ. When you take a look at the whole of Scripture, it begins to do what? Illuminates truth. Or you can deny the truth. So if God desires, if it pleases God that all men should be saved, then why aren't all men saved? You're saying, Lowell, you're now confusing me. Because if you're saying that God does whatever he pleases, if he does whatever he wills, it happens. And if he wills all men to be saved, then they don't, then something's up with this elect thing, right? Well, do you know how to determine the will of God? We've talked about it when we started, because God has this will, and in Scripture, it's defined in 3 categories. There is a declared will. A declared will, where God said to Adam, it's a spoken will. It's a declared will. Of all the trees in the garden, you can freely eat, but the tree that's in the midst of the garden, you shall not eat of it. I made a declared will. And so when we see the declared will, like in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 3, this is the will of God, your sanctification. I want you to have your body holy and your spirit holy because you're mine. And I think it's so important that this is the will of God. He declared the will to Adam. He declares the will to us. But then not only is it a declared will, but then Scripture teaches us this. It has another definition. There's a permissive will. And the permissive will is God allows human choice. Do you remember now in Genesis chapter 50, there in verse 20 where Joseph spoke to his brothers, says, you meant it for what? Evil. That was your choice. But God used it for good. That's his sovereignty. And so when you have the declared will, you have the permissive will, and then there's this. There's God's absolute will. And this is where he's unbending.